This is day 3 of my bike trip in the Netherlands, where I had the chance to visit Rotterdam. It's the Netherlands' second largest city with a population of over 600,000 and host of Europe's largest seaport. Its modern architecture stands in stark contrast to the Dutch stereotype, and it might just be the Netherlands' most car-friendly city. We're starting day number 3. I'm leaving Delft now, and I spent the morning just walking around and checking it out. It's honestly a lovely town. I had a great time there last night, but this morning it was really interesting to see how people just get around in the morning. And I'm talking about kids going to school. Their parents have the kids in box bikes. Kids are riding themselves to school. They're walking to school. It's just so chill. It's beautiful. It's amazing. But I am on my way to Gouda, yes, of cheese fame. And I'm hoping it doesn't rain, but I'm prepared for that if it does. The route I'll be taking today is very simple. Instead of heading straight to Gouda from Delft, I am of course taking the slightly longer route through Rotterdam. And after only a few minutes of riding, Delft was behind me. Something you'll notice when you come to the Netherlands is just how quickly you'll go from being in a city or a town to being in the countryside. Like, I've been riding for maybe 10 minutes, and I've been riding in areas like this past 5 minutes or so. It's just like all of a sudden, hey, nature and faster cars. The stark difference is really remarkable, and I have to say there is something very relaxed about riding along with nothing but farm fields as far as the eye can see. Here's another interesting thing. So this pathway was a pathway for motorbikes and for bicycles for a while, and then all of a sudden it was just a bicycle pathway and pedestrian pathway. And as you can see, there's an edge lane road here for motorbikes. Getting a few tiny raindrops. This feels like home. This feels like Vancouver. Nice and cool. It was a really lovely ride, and after just 40 minutes, I arrived and parked my bike at Rotterdam Central. My first thought, is this really the Netherlands' most car-friendly city? Trade this for any city in North America, and it would be number 1 on any urbanist list, with second place far in the rearview mirror, so to speak. That being said, it is relatively car-friendly for Dutch standards. Highway connections are close to the city core, roads wide enough and seemingly inviting enough for even giant American pickup trucks, and ample parking, whether that's surface, underground, and even multi-story parkades. In the past, Rotterdam wasn't much different than most Dutch cities. That was until the Second World War, when it was flattened by the German Luftwaffe prior to invasion. This monument is a memorial to that destruction. But once the war ended, the process of rebuilding began, and with it, the adoption of the car-centric design that those of us in many parts of the world are still very familiar with today. For decades, the car was the dominant mode of transportation. Thankfully, the planners in the city realized their mistakes and have been changing course for the past few decades, which has led to a gradual change in the modal share split. While the overall amount of car trips has risen slightly, that growth is far outpaced by the increase in walking, public transportation usage, and cycling, which has seen an increase of around 60% in the last decade. And I think this is best illustrated by Koolsingel, which used to host 4 lanes of car traffic, but now hosts 2, with a wide cycle path on one side of the road and plenty of space for pedestrians. There is even a provocative piece of art that I would say is apt for such a thoroughfare. I have to admit, I love Rotterdam. It's a modern yet somehow retro city that is really a pleasure to visit outside of a car. And while I wouldn't call the tall glass buildings cozy, their familiarity makes me feel at home. But perhaps the thing I loved most is a lesson that we can all learn in the West. And it's the fact that we can turn our car-centric cities into places for people with many options for moving around safely. Rotterdam may have been the most car-friendly city in the Netherlands, but is it still? I would say yes, but I've only visited a few cities. So let me know what city you think deserves that title in the comments below. After tooling around, I was beginning to get a bit famished. One thing I like to do when I go to foreign countries is check what the menus at McDonald's look like. Cheese snacks? That's fun. Chicken Big Mac. Double Big Tasty. Holy smokes. And those cheese snacks, they're pretty good. But as I explored the city, I came across many edge lane roads. And since I have mentioned this in every video so far in this series, I think it's time for a little crash course. An edge lane road is a shared street that provides two-way motor vehicle and vulnerable road user traffic using a center lane and edge lanes on either side. The center lane is primarily for motorists traveling in both directions, with priority given to cyclists in the edge lanes, so motorists must yield to cyclists using that lane. The idea is that the narrow space will slow traffic. And these have been used for over 50 years in the Netherlands with great success and work best on slow streets where space or funds are limited. We can see their effectiveness in Rotterdam, like this person driving their wank panzer, forced to be cautious and slow down. While they have been implemented in some North American cities, they are apparently too complicated for some drivers, like this one in San Diego that only lasted 2 weeks before they removed it. This is one of those types of cycling infrastructure that I am quietly obsessed with, and I would like to see it used much more widely in North America, as long as it's in the proper context, because I will say there are some places where they have, in my opinion, been implemented poorly. The occasional narrow door zone edge lane with a center lane wide enough for 2 cars, or on country roads with speed limits of 60 kilometers per hour. Not really a place I want to ride, and neither did all the other people I saw riding along this corridor, taking the narrow shared road instead. But after checking out much of the neat architecture and infrastructure Rotterdam had to offer, I retrieved my bike to begin the second leg of the day to Gouda. That was until it started to rain, but as I said, I was prepared. So I rented a car to take me the rest of the way. Bruh. I'm obviously kidding. I put on a rain jacket because, as the Dutch say, you are not made of sugar. In stark contrast to the way we ride in North America, you can see people aren't wearing flashy colors. Woman's wearing a dark jacket. This guy's got a poncho that's like dark green. I'm wearing a black raincoat right now. It's because it's safe. We don't need all this flashy stuff to keep us safe when we have a safe cycling culture and great cycling infrastructure. We're not made of sugar. We can ride bikes in the rain. And I did, because it rained pretty much the whole way to Gouda, which didn't squash my spirit. In fact, it did the opposite. Oh, this is nice. This is nice. I'm in a good mood. Can you tell? Can you tell I'm in a good mood? Oh man, what a day. I love riding in the rain. I feel alive. No? Just me? Okay. I think this is the first road with no cycling infrastructure, no edge lane road, no pavers. There was one speed bump back here, but more or less the road. That's because the bike lane's right there and I'm a idiot. Jesus Christ. What a moron. Yeah, not my finest moment. But I came across a big mix of infrastructure, this lovely little bridge, and an interesting looking neighborhood. Look at these cool houses. It's like they built houses inside of a pond. Wow. I was a little bit more damp than previous days, but I finally reached Gouda, a city of about 75,000 between Rotterdam and Utrecht. It was previously known as an important trading town, and obviously one product that is still very popular today is Gouda cheese, which is not made in the city, but you can easily pick some up from various shops around town or during the cheese market every Thursday. Sadly, I arrived a day late, but even on this drizzly day, the town square was bustling with life and currently hosts what looked like a friendly beach ball tournament. And while famous for its cheese, I became obsessed with something a bit sweeter. You may already know that I am a fan of stroopwafels, which happen to be quite popular here. In fact, I found an automat filled with the incredible delights. But perhaps better, who am I kidding? Definitely better. Sorry, Marcus. But my host left me a sample of these otherworldly delicacies, Camphausen syrup waffles. And I wouldn't be surprised if my host owns shares in this place. Because as they say, the first hit is always free. 2 crisp waffles, sandwiched the most wonderful browned butter caramel syrup. My God, I miss them so much. I've seriously considered paying the exorbitant shipping fees just to get more. So if you're ever in Gouda, try these and maybe take a factory tour. It was pretty neat. As for Gouda's cycling infrastructure, it wasn't anything to write home about. That edge lane road I mentioned earlier was actually here, though the traffic-free town center was delightful enough for a return visit a few weeks later. But after gorging myself on cheese and syrup waffles, I closed out the day by joining the Orange Army at a pub to watch the Netherlands play France at the Euros. Tomorrow, I head to Utrecht. Utrecht? Utrecht? I don't know. I'm sorry. I can't speak Dutch. Anyway, my name is Nick. Thanks for watching. Look at this guy. What's he going to do with that thing?